everyone, my name is Monique.
And I'm Naveen from Before You Play.
And today we're going to be showing you how to play a game that is currently on Kickstarter called Paint the Roses.
This one's designed by Ben Goldman and published by North Star Games. And this is a fully cooperative deduction game in which we are trying to avoid the Queen of Hearts in the Alice in Wonderland world.
Yes, this is set in the Alice in Wonderland universe. We're going to be working together essentially to try to complete these goal cards, these whim cards, before the Queen catches us, because we want to paint the entire garden with different colored roses. The base game includes 2 different levels of difficulty, and so today we're going to be showing you how to play the most standard game. But I also want to mention that the Kickstarter has options for the deluxe edition of the game, which is what we have here, as well as just the base retail copy. And so if you're interested in checking out the campaign, we'll include a link to the Kickstarter campaign down below.
So if you do have any questions about this game, feel free to leave them in the comments below and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Also, if you like videos like this in the future, please consider subscribing.
And with that, I think we're ready to begin. So if you please direct your attention to the center of the table, we're all set up here technically for a 3-player game of Paint the Roses, as evidenced by our player color cubes. And so just kind of give you the lay of the land. In the middle here, we have the castle as well as the infamous Queen and her garden. And so we are playing as the gardeners, these helpful gardeners who are trying to make everything right in the garden here.
Yes.
The Queen specifically requests roses, and so we're basically trying to fill the entire garden with these rose tiles before the Queen catches us. And the way we're going to be doing this is by placing these shrub tiles out onto the board and fulfilling our whim cards that have these different combinations of shapes as well as colors. However, the further and further our gardeners go along the score track, meaning that the more points we score, the faster the Queen will move. And so if the Queen ever lands on the gardener space or past the gardeners before we're able to completely fill the garden with these tiles, then we lose. Now at the start of the game, each player is going to draw one of these whim cards. And there are 3 levels of difficulty. There's easy, medium, and hard. It's up to you which deck to draw from, but only one person can have an easy card at any given time.
That's right.
Now these whim cards show a certain combination of shapes as well as colors. And the 4 different shapes are the diamonds, clubs, hearts, spades, just like on a deck of cards. And the 4 different colors are red, purple, pink, and yellow. And so the difference between the 3 levels is that on the easy cards, you'll only see combinations of colors. And that includes same colors. You might have purple, purple. The medium cards might have a combination of colors, or they might have a combination of shapes. And so that's going to be the difference between the easy and the medium. And now the hard is really hard because it can have a combination of both. You might have a shape on one side and a color on the other, or 2 colors or 2 shapes.
Yes, and you'll see why this is difficult when we explain the mechanisms of the game.
Yes, and also on these whim cards, it'll tell you the number of points if you're able to score them. And so at the start of the game, we're just going to go ahead and draw a card. I'm just going to take this medium one because...
I'll take this easy one. It's hard enough.
Smart. And then we're ready to begin. And so the way that a turn works is the very first thing that happens is we have the greenhouse over here that's going to have 4 shrub tiles at any given time. And so at the start of your turn, you must choose one of these 4 to place into the garden.
Yes.
And you can choose any unoccupied space. You're definitely going to want to put it next to a pre-existing shrub tile, as you'll see in a second. If I were to go first, I am actually going to take this shrub tile. And I'm going to place it right here. Or actually, I'm going to place it right here. Make that a little bit easier for me. And then after you place your shrub tile, you're going to place clue tokens on the tile that you placed, depending on if it meets the criteria on your card. And everybody's going to be able to do this in turn order. So starting with me, I'm just going to go ahead and reveal my card right now. I pulled a medium, and it happens to be 2 shapes. It's a diamond and a spade. And so what you're going to do is you're going to place a number of clue tokens on the shrub tile that you placed according to the adjacent tiles that match your card exactly. And so in this example, I have diamond spade, and there's a diamond here, and that's adjacent to 2 spades.
Yes.
And so because there are 2 different combinations of my exact whim card, I'm going to place 2 clue tokens on that shrub tile. It's important to note that the shrub tile that you placed in the garden has to be a part of your whim card for you to place a clue token on there.
So then you go in turn order. Our next player would be me. And so this is the card that I have. And I have the easy card, which is just colors. And I see that Monique created a yellow purple. So for me, hidden from all my teammates, I would place one clue out here.
Yes.
So Monique would not know too much about it, but she can kind of guess as to what kind of card I have in my hand.
Yes, I know that Naveen has an easy card, which means it's going to be a combination of 2 colors. And so in my mind, because he only placed 1 clue token here, his card is going to be either yellow-purple or it's yellow-red.
Yes, and she knows for a fact yellow is the one that is definitely there because it pertains to this tile that was just placed.
Exactly. So essentially for Naveen's card, it's going to be 50-50.
50-50.
For my card, he should be able to identify exactly what it is based off of the clue tokens that I placed.
Exactly. So Monique could have a combination of colors or shapes. In this case, there's no 2 colors that match here. So there's only one combination here, yellow-red, or one combination yellow-purple. So if that was the case, she would have only put 1 clue token. So that leads me to the shapes. So it's 1 diamond, 2 spades. I would guess 1 diamond and 2 spades is the right one. So I would say diamond spade.
Yeah, you'd be correct. But we're jumping ahead a little bit.
We are.
So then the third player would go and place their clue tokens. And if nothing applies to your whim card, then you just don't place a clue token. And that also gives you information because you know what it's not, right? This is a big part of the game. It's complete deduction, and you have to kind of read into how people are playing as well as which shrub tile they chose from the greenhouse.
From the options they had.
Yes. After all players have had a chance to place their clue tokens, then you go into the next step, which is guessing someone's whim card. Every single turn, you have to try to guess at least one player's whim card.
It's mandatory.
It is mandatory, even if you don't know exactly what somebody's whim card is. In this case, we do. So then at this point, Naveen would say what I have.
Yes, me and third player would discuss. Monique would stay out of the discussion here.
Lips are sealed.
Yes, and then me and you, we would say diamond spade, lock it in.
And I would say yes.
Correct.
You are correct.
Okay.
We would score the number of points indicated on the card, which
1,
is
2.
2 points. And then I would discard this, and at the end of my turn, I would be able to draw another card, choosing one of the levels of difficulty from the decks.
Correct.
And so if the team guessed correctly, which happened in this example, then you can continue to guess other players' cards. If you guessed incorrectly, then this phase ends immediately and you move into the next one. And now that my card was guessed correctly, I take back my clue tokens because they now no longer apply.
Yes, and my clue token still is here because I still have the same card.
Right. And so once we're done with this phase, we move on to the next one where the queen will now move according to her speed. And so at the start of the game, the queen's speed is just 1 step. And the queen will move every turn, regardless of what happens, essentially. In this case, she would just move forward 1 space. Once the gardeners, which is our score tokens, passes the white rabbit, which is here in between points 9 and 10, then the white rabbit will move to the next spot here, and we're going to gain a flower petal underneath the queen, increasing her speed by 1.
That's right.
So
snaps in place.
The further along you get in the game, basically the more points you score, the faster the queen will get because she is really angry and she really wants to catch the gardeners. And so the queen's speed will max at a speed of 5 because there are going to be 4 flower petals available to place under the queen.
Exactly.
Now, if during the guessing phase, your team guessed a card incorrectly, then the queen is going to move twice her speed. And so if it looked like this, where the queen would actually be a little bit further ahead, and the queen has a speed of 2, if we were to guess incorrectly, she would move 4 spaces instead. So she would just get real close to the gardeners, just like that. Again, if the queen were to ever meet or exceed wherever the gardeners are, then you lose the game immediately.
It's important to note, if you guess incorrectly about another player's card, they don't reveal that card. They're going to still maintain that card. It's just you get more information from that wrong guess.
And once the queen has finished moving, then you just do a little bit of cleanup. You refill the shrub tile that was taken out of the bag, essentially. And then you draw up a card if you don't have a whim card. And so I'm just going to go ahead and take another medium since Naveen still has his easy. And then play continues to the person to your left. You technically pass the greenhouse menu, I guess, around, so that you can keep track of whoever's turn it is, or you can just kind of leave it in place and keep track yourself. So we're just going to go ahead and demonstrate another turn with a hard card this time, just so you have a little bit more of an idea as to how the deduction works.
Especially with those hard cards.
Yeah, so now it's your turn, Naveen.
Okay, so it's my turn. So I have one of these 4 options. I'll take this one, and I'm going to place it right there.
Oh, okay.
And I am going to let you know that this applies just once.
Just once, okay.
Once. So you can know from my previous plus this one, you can maybe deduce a little bit more.
Yes, and again, Naveen has an easy card, so we're only looking at colors.
Color.
Now, I have a hard card, which is really hard because it could be essentially any combination, colors, shapes, or a color and a shape.
That's right.
Which makes it real tough. But fortunately, I do have a match with the placement that Naveen placed here. I actually have 2 2 matches here.
Okay.
And we're just going to say that the third player has no clue tokens
Yes.
here.
Yeah, that's right.
But going to Naveen's card, from the previous spot here, we know that it's either yellow or red or yellow and purple. Because his card is colors only, we know the answer based off of how he answered with this shrub tile. Because if it were purple and pink, then he would have had to place 2 clue tokens on here. But because he only placed 1, we know that it's purple and yellow. And that is confirmed by the clue token that he placed over here.
Yep.
So at this point, I feel pretty confident in guessing.
Sure.
And go ahead and guess it. Purple,
That's
yellow.
Right. Purple, yellow. So then what we would do is we would discard this and we would move our little person right there.
Yes. And keep in mind, this is no longer accurate.
That's right. We're just making that up.
Yes.
Because we were correct, we have the opportunity to continue guessing before the queen moves.
If you'd like to try to guess my hard card, by all means, Naveen.
I got to figure it out. Okay. So based off of what Monique is telling me, she's saying that this could be diamond clubs. This could be diamond pinks. This could be purple pinks, or this could be purple clubs. Mm-hmm. So there are 4 different options that I see. And because it's a 1 in 4 chance, and if I'm wrong, that queen is going to move 4 steps, basically offing our head.
Offing our head.
Yes. So I would typically probably discuss with my third player and say, you know what, we're just going to pass on this one for right now.
But do you want to just guess?
Sure, I'll guess. Because it's a hard card, I'm going to go with a combination. So I'm going to say diamonds, pinks.
Wrong.
Okay. I
wouldn't reveal this, by the way.
She would not reveal this.
But that is incorrect. Okay. It was purple clubs.
Purple clubs, okay.
So, yeah. Typically, you would probably not guess that unless you're really, really forced to. Mm-hmm. But that is just an example of how the deduction for the hard cards works. Now, I do want to mention that the game does come with these notepads where you can take notes in case you're really trying to keep track of what everybody's cards are. You're not required to, but it is available. And there's also an expert mode to just this retail base game. Mm-hmm. And essentially, the expert mode is played exactly the same way, except at the very start of the game, you don't have these shrub tiles in the middle here. You only start with these 4.
On the edges.
On the edges. And so it's a lot more deduction that you're going to have to get through to fill up the garden. Now, during the Kickstarter campaign, they're also going to have an expansion that's available, as well as the deluxe version of the game, which is what you see here with all the deluxeified components. There's also a game trays insert in the box. And it also comes with this expansion that we're talking about called Escape the Castle. Now, the expansion plays very similarly to the base game. You're going to be placing those shrub tiles and completing whim cards, doing the deduction exactly as we discussed, except your end goal is going to be different. Instead of trying to completely fill the garden, you're trying to earn these 5 different keys. And the way that you go about doing that is going to be different depending on these modular cards that the expansion comes with. There's 6 different modules, and they all play differently according to the specific character that the module is named after. And so when you play this version of the game, you're essentially going to have a deck of queen cards, as well as a deck of cards depending on which character you chose. Right. And they all play differently with a different kind of setup and different kind of rule sets. And so just to kind of show you an example, the Alice module has you play with these eat me and drink me tokens, just like in the story. At the start of the game, you essentially play with 1 Queen of Hearts card as well as 1 helper card in play. And so the Queen of Hearts card is going to make the queen a lot more difficult to deal with.
Yes.
And the helper card is essentially a power that you can activate each turn. And so in this module, you earn a key whenever you complete a whim card with a number of points equal to the queen's speed. And you can only do that once per speed. So you're going to need to see the queen at each of these speed levels.
So the queen right now has a speed 2. So if we were successful with Monique's first card earlier, then we would receive a key because it's worth 2 points.
Exactly. And so these eat me and drink me tokens are going to be scattered around the board. Whenever you place a shrub tile on an eat me token, then the queen increases in speed. And whenever you place one on a drink me token, you remove a flower petal. And so they go down in speed. And so that's kind of how you can manipulate the queen's speed for that module.
Because you want to win the keys depending on her speed.
Yes. There's also the White Rabbit module where you just earn keys depending on how quickly you're able to beat the game.
That's right, yes.
And so all these modules play very differently.
So there you have it. That's Paint the Roses coming to Kickstarter or on Kickstarter right now. If you do have any questions about this game, feel free to leave them in the comments below and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. And also, if you like these kind of videos, please consider subscribing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.